It is common knowledge that around 50% of startups in the UK fail. However, it doesn't act as a deterrent, and every year there are more and more startups that are setting up and looking to kind of create the startup dream. As a consultancy practice, we are regularly meeting up with new startups and also have worked with several over the years and have started to determine patterns that make startups successful. To highlight a few of these, we'd always like to look at the entrepreneur and individual who is set up and is running the company. Yes, if they are a serial entrepreneur and have been very successful before, maybe they found a gap in the market and can really find a way to make the most of it. However, you also get some individuals who are maybe fired from their last job, are simply unemployed, or simply can't work in an office or a team environment, and starting this new company is the only option they have. And as a result, they may not actually be the best person to be running a very high-risk startup opportunity. Very similar, you have to look at the experience of that person and what industry and sector they've been in. So if they've actually worked in the insurance industry for the last 10 years or have been working with a food manufacturing company and then decide to start their own insurance company or food product, they're then in a very good position to kind of go ahead and run it and make it successful. Compare this to someone who's maybe been in banking or in property and then decides that they want to launch an app or a gaming product. Unfortunately, it is going to be harder for them. Not always, but you have to consider that they don't have industry knowledge, and therefore it will take them longer to understand things that maybe a person with experience would, giving them already a year or two behind another person. We also look at whether there's an advantage of being the first mover in an industry, and it can be very exciting to come to the table with a new and exciting opportunity which no one has ever done before. And this certainly is the case for a lot of successful companies that were in there early. If you look at things like comparison sites, cashback sites, hosting companies, companies that sell domains, these were companies that got in early. On the other hand, you also see the second mover advantage, which is companies that saw what was there originally and have found a better way of doing it and scale it. And this is companies such as Google, Facebook, Apple, Uber, that kind of saw what was there and took it to the next level. The thing about being the second mover is that the product works. There isn't there maybe are higher barriers to entry, but you actually don't have to educate the market about your product. Another key ingredient is also whether there's an actual demand for your product, and this comes down to being a first or second mover, but also sometimes in the actual self-belief and sometimes delusion of the entrepreneur. So many startups are started because the individual believes that there's this huge demand for a product when actually there isn't, or maybe it's just not as big as they thought that it was. So something that could probably help startups from failing is really conducting thorough market research and also trying to manage their cash flow when trying to get those initial first sales. In the example of apps, to be spending thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions just to get a few users is not good business. But if you can do it in a very cost-effective way, what's also known as your MVP, minimum viable product, and get a few people using it at a very small cost, then you can actually show how investing more and scaling the business can then actually lead to better cash flow and ultimately a successful business. If you'd like any more information, my contact details are on the blog post, and we're always happy to answer any further questions.